Hey friends, let's start with our Share to Social giveaway. So this week's Share to Social winner is Cami Perez. Yay, Cami, message me and I'll send over your gift. We're growing listeners daily, and it's all because of you sharing us with your friends and family. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for believing in Unashamedly You and helping this community grow. Hello, and welcome to the Unashamedly You podcast, a space to enlighten, encourage, and empower you to go out and unashamedly be who God is calling you to be. I am your host, Jamie Herndon. I pray you hear less of me and more of Him as you listen to today's episode. Let's grow together. Hello, Unashamedly You community. We have a special guest on with us today, and I am so excited to introduce her to you. You probably already know her as Darling on a Dime, but today we're going to get to find out more about this amazing woman who is making us laugh every single day and giving us adorable fashion inspo. So, Kristen Caum, I'm so delighted to have you as our guest. Take a minute to introduce yourself to us.
Well, hi, I am 36 and I'll be 37. No, will I be 37? Am I already 36? I don't know. I think I'm 37 this year, or something. Maybe I'm 36. Who knows? And I live in I live in Washington, and Washington State. Some people think DC, but Washington State, all the way up in the corner. And I have a husband and a son who is 4.5. And I work full time. I do full time ministry as well as, really social media full time. It's like another job. So I feel like I have about 3 or 4 full time jobs. But yeah, and I do ministry in my church. I'm the assistant worship director, and I also run the children's church and the children's choir. So busy gal. But yeah.
Super busy. We're really thankful that you're taking time to be on the Unashamedly You podcast. I know that so many people are going to be so inspired by the things that you have to say today. So we're excited to have you on here.
Me too.
So talking about social media, I think some people probably don't understand that it's a full-time job and there's a lot that goes into social media accounts. But you're the person that's making us all laugh on the daily on your account, Darling on a Dime. What was the reason that you started this account?
So I started it really in 2020, and I just started it as like modest plus size fashion blogging because I kind of felt like that was an area that a lot of voices weren't heard. And a lot of plus size women kind of don't know how to dress themselves or don't feel valuable enough to dress themselves nicely, or just don't have the skills because they don't feel valuable in it. They've never developed the skills and or the confidence to wear what they actually want to wear, and not just like a black sack that the mall is trying to put on you. And I started that in 2020 because I was bored because of the pandemic. I wasn't working at the time because I had my son, and I was trying to do the stay-at-home mom thing, and then which obviously I ended up going back to work. But I was doing the stay-at-home mom thing, and then everything got shut down, and I just didn't know what to do with myself. So I was like, I have to redirect some of my energy. Maybe I can do this, and maybe that will help give me some sort of direction. Because I was also going through some personal things where the plans that I thought I had, or I thought God had for me, He had spoken into my life about something the year before, and then everything just came crashing down. And I was very confused. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know. It just felt very shaky, and like I didn't know what my purpose was anymore. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to kind of redirect my thoughts, redirect all of this negativity, and try to figure something out. So I started it as Darling on a Dime because I thought, okay, you could look cute with a little money, Darling Dime, and then my name, which I spend more than a dime. But so I don't know if that was a really good name. But so I just started doing that and taking pictures of my clothes and just kind of was a little self, I have struggled with, a couple of my posts mentioned it, but I struggled with crippling body anxiety my whole life, from just relentless teasing all the way from about sixth, seventh grade through high school. And, that just kind of stayed with me. And I thought, well, I'll try this and hopefully the internet's nice to me. And they were. I ended up finding a lot of really good people and building a nice, strong community. And I had about 3,000 people by the time Reels hit on Instagram. And I just decided, well, I'm gonna try it. I'll try a reel. Why not? So I just made a little reel and it got like 500 or 700 likes, something like that, which was big when you have an account of 3,000. 700 likes was quite good. My posts were ranging about 150, 200. And so I was like, oh, well, okay, they liked it. So then I started making more and my following just kind of slowly grew. And then a couple of reels went viral for me at the time, which was, it's not the viral now that I have, but it was viral for me at the time. And got me a lot of followers, and then more went viral, and then more went viral, and then more went viral. And then it just kind of blew up into the explosion that it is now. So it was kind of thrust upon me unexpectedly, but exciting.
That's incredible. I love several things that you had said. One, that you found a purpose through the things that you were dealing with, a way to channel positivity into your life. Because I think so many times we look at all the negative, and whenever we're perceiving everything in a negative light, our reality is we live in the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever we start channeling that positivity into our lives, we start realizing the world's a brighter place. It's a better place. And our life starts to look up. So I love that you had said that. And people that are growing a social media account, you guys understand and know that it takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of pouring into your social media account and then pouring into yourself as well. So going through this process, did you ever doubt yourself whenever you were just getting started and you were showing your modesty and you were, showing these cute outfits, and then you started doing the reels? Did you ever doubt yourself, and kind of what was a bigger breakthrough in your mindset when you started showing up online? Because it's not always easy to do that.
Yeah, it's definitely not. I'm very doubtful just in the beginning that this would even work for me, that anyone would even want to follow me. Like, who's going to want to follow me? Just like, whatever. I'm just going to try it. And that's the main thing. You just got to try it. Like, you can talk yourself out of anything. Like, if you want to talk yourself out of it, you're going to do it. So you just got to try it, and you're going to know that it's going to have positive, it's going to have negative. You just got to be prepared for that going in. And with my biggest breakthrough was when I was posting and posting and posting, and I did not receive backlash. I fully expect people to just wail on me and call me a cow and call me fat, which ironically they do now on my reels when they want to troll me. But back then they did not. And it really helped me grow in my body confidence. I was like, oh, people aren't just going to lash out at me and call me horrible names because I have bigger legs or bigger arms, or, the things that they used to do when I was a teenager. Like, not everybody is going to hate me and dislike me because of my weight. And so when I was receiving that positive, I mean, it's sad that I had to realize this at the time, 33, 32, but it really helped me grow that confidence and realize that not everybody is hateful. Not everybody is mean. Yeah, there's mean people, but it just helped me grow slowly in little baby steps. And where in the beginning I would cover everything. And, a lot of people thought, man, she is just super modest. I mean, stuff down to the knuckle and all the way to the floor. You can't even see her shoes. And of course, I do believe in modesty. I do believe in covering up and being past certain points, but I was that modest because I was insecure. And so as time went on, things would get a little shorter, I would show a little more my arm. I mean, again, not breaking what I believed in, but just a little more. And, skirts actually like a little past, like a couple inches past my knee versus being all the way down to the ground. And it would start with like, where I'm like, okay, well, I can do this with like some dark tights or something. So I'm still covered. And then eventually it was like lighter tights. And then it was no tights sometimes. And then it was just kind of like little baby steps that helped me grow along the way. And then with the reels, honestly, this might sound, I don't know what this might sound like, but the reels just did good. I didn't doubt my reels because the reels just started off strong and they started off. I just got tons of feedback, positive feedback about them. The doubt on reels didn't really come until maybe, and it's not really doubt, but the negativity on reels didn't really come till later when I got so large. And when you get that large, you get an influx of people that want to tear you down, whether it be like actual people or trolls, which trolls aren't technically, I don't consider them like real people. They're usually weirdos with like 4 or 5 accounts, and this is just what they do. And they have pictures of like a cat, holding like a spork or something. Like it's always something weird like that. And they have like no friends, no posts, and that's just what they do. But when you get, so that didn't really come until later when, and I've talked about it about when you go viral, be prepared for the onslaught that is coming. You must be aware of it, or else you will just get pummeled emotionally. So that stuff didn't really come on later. I would second guess reels especially when people of the Christian community would judge me for them. I never wanted to, and I'm overall Christian community. And then I would go to like the people that I was close with and be like, was there? And they're like, no, there was nothing wrong with that. Like they would, you know, reassure me. But other than that, I haven't really had a lot of doubting in myself in the reels, and that could just be because I've kind of put myself out there my whole life with singing and plays and stuff like that. So I'm more comfortable with it. So, whereas with my body, I had more doubts and more things with that than I did the reels.
Your reels are definitely hilarious. And people that are listening, if you have never done a reel where you try to lip sync what is being said, you have no idea how truly talented this woman is. Okay. So
Right.
go to Darling on a Dime if you do not follow her and check it out. But I'm telling you, lip syncing is not easy. It is talent. There's real talent involved in that. And you totally impress me whenever I see them and you'll do these long ones. And I'm like, I'm in awe. Like some people are looking at them laughing. I've tried to do lip sync reels before. I'm in awe of the talent that you're bringing to the reels.
Oh my word, thank you.
Honestly, I love that you said you can talk yourself out of anything because that is so true.
Mhm.
It's not always the people. A lot of times it's us. We're talking ourselves out of things. And you had talked about, I know you've had the tremendous support, but I've seen you address the haters. You kind of touched on this a little, but how you learned to push aside those and keep pursuing your passion and what you felt you had purpose in doing, even maybe talking about on the body shaming and things like that. Someone may be starting something and that's getting to them right now. What is something that you would tell them?
First of all, this isn't for everyone. And I know everyone thinks they can be a social media person and they want to be a social media person because they just see all the quote unquote benefits and I guess glamorous side. I don't really know if there's a glamorous side, but you know what I mean. But it's truly not for everyone. If you don't have a strong mental fortitude, like, I mean, to where you have a good support system that you can lean on, or you're able to encourage yourself. If you are easily overwhelmed by people's opinions, and I'm saying this because I'm someone that takes people's opinions very personally, and I am someone who can get overwhelmed by that. But thankfully, I'm old and I've dealt with some things and I've matured in that area. And just because you're one of those people doesn't mean you can't, but because I am one and I can. But if you are easily just crumpled by people, this may not be the best thing for you. So you truly need to look, you truly need to know what you're getting into, which is why I try to be as transparent as possible. I don't like to post it all the time because I don't want to come off whiny, and I try to explain why I'm doing it. I've told my audience earlier in the week, someone fat shamed my kid, and I posted their comment and I just said that this is not going to happen in my space. If you say things like this, you will not be welcome as a follower. You will be removed. And I said, and I told people that because I need to set boundaries. When you become larger in your audience, people think you shouldn't have boundaries. They think you should be able to take anything that they throw at you and deal with it because you're a quote unquote celebrity or what, because people are so mean to like the celebrities of the world, and they think that they should just take it because that's what they signed up for. Unfortunately, that's not how it's going to work here in my space. And I set the boundaries. So you need to set boundaries, truly look at yourself introspectively, take a good long look at yourself and really assess if you can do this mentally, because nothing is worth your mental and spiritual health. Nothing at all. Certainly not social media. So make sure that you can deal with it, try it out. You might not get the backlash right away. Also have somebody you can talk to about it. We have started, me and a few ladies have started a group. To remember, it's Apostolic Creators Prayer Network, where we have a group and we talk to each other and we pray for each other, because it's very hard doing this and you need a group that understands what you're going through and where you're coming from. So that is something I recently started with JC and a few other ladies. And you need to make sure you're grounded. You just got to make sure you're grounded. You have someone to talk to, you have support. You also have to understand that and be able to discern that these words aren't truth. It gets pretty dark out there. And there are people who've told me to kill myself. There are people that have called me the worst names you can be called as a woman. There are people that body shame me just because that's the only thing that they can think to pick on me about, because they don't like success. They don't like people. They don't like Christians. A lot of it is because I'm a Christian. You will get hated on simply because you are a Christian. There's no other reason. There's many of our young ladies that have showed their hair videos, something that should not really receive any negativity. You're just showing someone how to do some pretty hair, and they will get comment. It'll go viral because our hair is long and beautiful and people like it. So it tends to go viral when you see them do all these amazing things with it. And you will see comment after comment after comment after comment of telling her she's stupid for having long hair. She needs to chop all her hair off. She would be so much prettier with short hair. Why do you do this? You're stupid. You're ugly. You're dumb. I mean, just down the bing, 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 simply because she has long hair, because she's a Christian and she has long hair. She hasn't even said anything about God in her post. She hasn't told them why she has long hair. She's not talking about standards. She's not bringing up anything that should be bothering anybody. But the devil attacks, social media attacks. You have to know what you're getting into. And I try to warn girls and let them know there is such a dark side that comes with social media. There's such a dark side, and you have to be ready for it. You have to have a support system. You have to be able to process it. Sometimes I'll post, there's some people that are just so ridiculous. They say the dumbest things and I find them hilarious. And so I'll post them on my story, just laughing at them. And I'll be like, oh my word, this guy is, he is on drugs. I'll just say something that I think is funny. This guy must be on drugs or something, or whatever I'm saying, to literally laugh at it and have other people laugh at it too, because that laughter helps me process it and not turn it into something negative. It helps me kind of shift my mindset on, this is funny. This isn't hurting me. It's actually funny. This person's just lame. And so you have to have some sort of coping mechanism. You have to have people to talk to. It's probably a really long answer, but this is a huge, this one question could literally be a whole conversation for me, because I do not want our girls or men, but I'm assuming mostly my following is mostly women. I don't want them to be hurt and destroyed by social media because they're not aware. And so I think I got off topic, but
No, so good and so needed and so true because, they say that you don't have to do anything and no one's going to talk about you. But the minute you start doing something, and then especially like you said, you start seeing success in something, you become a target. The bigger you are, the bigger target that you are. And so your following has grown to over 150,000 followers. So that's a large following target right there of people that are going to get on there and say things. And then people realizing they see the following, they see the success, they see the viral reels, but there's a person on the other side of this that's doing this and that's mentally having to take in these comments and these things. I saw your post about your son with the fat shaming and I was blown away. And shaming goes on both sides. I believe I had responded back to you and said, I get the same thing. My daughter's really thin. And so people comment about her. She needs to eat more. And I'm like, it's genetics, number one. And she does eat and she is thin and it'll catch up with her. I'm like, don't
frankly,
worry.
I'd love to be on that side.
I'm like, don't worry. I was made fun of as a thin child. And then, I hit above 30 and 3 kids and I would love those jokes today. But it is true. There is so much. There's a lot of hurt in the world and hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
There's a lot of hate in the world and hateful people hurt, they spew hate. And so it's just part of it. But I love that you gave into your passion and you kept following it because honestly, the reels are funny and they're great and they make me laugh. And I love that. But the real side of this is why you started this account is the plus size fashion, which I'm sure is extremely inspirational for others because like you said, the mall wants to put you in a black sack and you dress so adorable and you're known for dressing adorable. Your photos are always so cute. Your hair's cute. Everything's just always adorable and put together on social. And I love your answer. It's so true. And it's so real. It's just a real issue and it needs to be talked about. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So talking about your passions and your dreams and that you're following those, what was your dream to be as a little girl? Did that follow into something that you're doing now? Because I think sometimes we'll start doing something now and it's like, we'll look back and see what we dreamed about being. Just curious. Did that have anything to do with it?
In a very offhanded kind of way, it is extremely interesting how God worked all this out. Because as a kid, this might sound really cliche, but I wanted to be an evangelist wife, or I wanted to help women. I wanted to minister. I wanted to sing. I basically just wanted to be in ministry and help people. And whatever that meant. Ever since I was little, I just said, God, I just want to be used by you. Like, that might sound like, oh, sure. Yeah, right. But honestly, really, that is what I wanted. And so I kind of spent my whole life trying to figure out what I was supposed to be doing. I hyper focused on it because I wanted to be used by God so much. And so much of me felt like, this might get deep. I hope I don't cry. So much of me felt like I wasn't good enough to be used by God. Because of my weight or because of my flaws or because, other people, I always had this feeling that I was too flawed or I wasn't good enough. I wasn't a preacher's kid. I wasn't anything. And at the same time, I also wasn't the wreck who got pulled in from the pit, where God took me up and turned me around and, and now I'm this like super I felt like I fell in the middle and I kept begging God, please use me, please use me, please use me, please use me. And I just felt like he was just like, and of course he wasn't, but I kind of grew up with that feeling of like, what, and I hyper focused, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? And I did that, trying to find my confidence and my purpose, I guess, through God, but in almost an unhealthy way, like to where I would hyper focus on my ministry and I would like choke hold it, like I wanted to do this, and this, and I didn't trust God enough, honestly. I didn't trust him enough to let go of the chokehold on the things that I had, even ministry wise. And it all came from a good place of wanting to be used, but it was the wrong way of going about it. And that was part of the reason what happened in 2020. And it wasn't just me, it was a combination of things. And I was so confused because God had spoken to me through someone, and it wasn't like, you got to be careful who talks into your life. This was a person who I was very valuable to me, who was very level-headed, wouldn't just say something to me to just say something to me. But she said to me, she goes, that the Lord wanted to use you, not just in singing, but in speaking. So in my mind, my checklist of things that I was like, okay, so that means he wants me to do this, and he wants me to do this, and he wants me to do this. So that means I got to do this, and this is how it should work out. And I had this whole list and this whole plan of how I thought it should go out. And then everything around me crumbled. And I felt lost and confused, like I told you before. I decided to start this. I worked through things. I worked on myself. I worked on my relationship with God during all this time. I worked on getting over the hurt that I had dealt with, getting over the emotional things I had from growing up and some of the things that had happened to me growing up. I was just starting to work all this stuff out. And then I started my Instagram. My Instagram started growing and growing and growing. And I had people reaching out to me, telling me that they were ex-apostolics, they had backslid, or they had family that had backslid and found me. And actually, they were like, oh, for apostolic, she's pretty funny. Like, she does take herself too seriously. And they're like, you're kind of that little crack, little open door to where maybe they can come back through. And then even the ones that had backslid or been apostolic or Pentecostal, for them following me, it was still a little crack in the door, because I still talk about God in my reels. I still do encouraging messages. I still have serious ones with all the funny. And so I feel like it's just like this little opening. And I was sitting in my car going to work, and I was praying, and I don't know what I was praying about, but I was thinking about what that sister said to me in 2019. And God goes, don't you understand what this Instagram is? And I was like, and he goes, who you're speaking? You're speaking words. And then and I thought, oh, is he trying to grow what he wants from me through this? And I just let it be. I didn't try to control it. But as it's grown, I've had people ask me to speak to their women's groups. I've had people invite me to conferences. I'm now talking at conferences. I'm now encouraging women, as I've grown, and I'm helping women. All the things that I wanted to do when I was little. It's amazing that God took this, something I had no plans. Didn't have a chokehold on it. I had no plans. And he took this and he worked around the problems that I was facing. He worked around the walls and the closed doors that people were giving me. He worked around them. God is going, if you truly desire something in your heart, and it's for a work for the Lord, and you're doing your best, even if you're doing it a little bit wrong, God sees your heart. He sees your intentions, and he will work with you. First, he'll work on you. Then he'll work with you, and he'll if God wants something to happen, he can hop the fence. He can bust the closed door. He will make what he wants to happen, regardless if somebody wants you to do it. If he wants you to do it, you will do it. And it's not necessarily going to look how you thought it was going to look. This has completely blown my mind, completely taken me by surprise. I look at God and I'm just like, you're a little bit crazy, aren't you? Like, wow, how'd you figure this out? And how'd you figure this one out? But I look back on it and I'm like, everything I wanted as a child, I'm doing. And everything that he spoke over me in 2019, it was so dark for me during 2020 and 2021. Victor Jackson, oh man, he spoke a message that just spoke into my life, and a couple other ministers did, and spoke to right where I was. And so I was holding on, I'm holding on, I'm holding on. And it's just been amazing to see how God has completely taken something so obtuse as Instagram. Who would have ever thought you would have gotten a ministry out of Instagram? People make fun of that sort of stuff, but it can truly, truly happen if your heart is in the right place. You want things for the right reasons. God can see your heart. And it's just been amazing how all the things I wanted as a girl, I got very weirdly later on.
It reminds me of that scripture in Jeremiah 29:11. It says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." And whenever I read that, it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord." Sometimes we know the plans we have for us
Mhm.
and what we want the Lord to do, but the Lord's saying, "No, I know the plans that I have for you.
Right.
And I have plans to prosper you, to give you hope in a future. These aren't plans to harm you. Just wait on me." And that answer reminded me so much of that. God knows the plans he has for us, and our plans might look a certain way, and he's not doing things according to our plan. If things aren't going according to your plan, stop and listen. He has
Mhm.
a plan and he knows what
Mhm.
he's doing with your life. So
Yeah.
someone, they may see a need. So you saw a need with this Instagram account and you had a dream of doing something like that. Somebody else that's listening to this today, they see the need and they have the dream, but they could be in the doubting phase or not wanting to show up on social. It's kind of hard to show up on social media when you haven't
Mhm.
done that before. So what is a piece of advice that you may could give them?
Do it. Just do it. Press the button, post the thing. Obviously make sure it's good and appropriate. All this, I shouldn't have to say that, but I'm going to say it. Just so you don't post something crazy like, well, Kristen told me to do it, and then I get pastor phone calls. It just do it. Just go for it. You can run it by somebody if you want, but ultimately you just need to try. You need to put in the effort. You need to put in the effort. If I can say that again, put in the effort. People see effort. There's a reason. I hope this don't sound snotty or like what's the word? I'm arrogant. But there's a reason my reels do so well, and that's because I put in effort. My mouth matches those words. They don't just match the words. I put in my facial expressions. I put in my arm expressions. I do it so many times that I'm able to do it not having to think about the words, and then I can do all the other things I do with my hands and my faces. Effort. People understand effort. They respond to excellence. They respond to hard work. If you look like you just slap something together, they're just gonna slap on by, swipe. But if they see someone put in a lot of effort and produce good quality material, things they're gonna find valuable, give them value. So whatever it is, even it's selling clothes, making art, cooking, being funny, saying encouraging words, whatever you do, find the value and make sure you are consistent in that value every time. So, say you're making 5-minute meals or less, find a niche within, because there's so much competition that you have to find your niche and you have to stick to it. So, say you're cooking, I'm just going to use this. Say you're showing meal prep and meal cooking. Find your niche within that, because there's a lot of people cooking. There's a lot of people doing that. So okay, I'm doing 5-minute meals for busy, busy moms. Start with that. Post a bunch of 5-minute meals. As you get that strong following, you can kind of expand out and be like, okay, Now we have 10-minute meals, 20-minute meals, 30, and you can kind of expand out as your following grows and they understand who you are and what your niche is. And then you can kind of from there, but nail down who you are, what your values are, what your niche is, and do not deviate. If you do deviate, deviate rarely and don't go too far from a deviation. I'll have some reels that are a bit of a deviation for me, and I only post them like once a year because I think they're funny, but they are a bit of a deviation from my normal kind of comedy. So I don't deviate often, and if I do, it's rare. So, and then just put the effort in and then just post it. Like I said in the beginning, you can talk yourself out of anything, and there's a million reasons why you shouldn't do it, but there are also a million reasons why you should. And that's what I forgot to answer this before. I'm going to answer this now. The reason why I keep doing it is because of the million reasons why I should. The constant emails, the constant DMs, the constant comments that come flooding in saying, I had the hardest day today and you made me laugh. I have cancer and you made me laugh at chemotherapy. My mom just died and you made me laugh. I left the church and you made me laugh. I left the church and I am living. Okay, this is gonna might shock you. These are the emails I get. I left the church. I'm living in a homosexual lifestyle, but your reels are reminding me that God loves me. These are the emails that I get. And those are the things that I remember. I remember the ministers' wives and the missionaries' wives that reach out to me and said, you had me laughing in my kitchen in the middle of Ukraine during the war. The war. You had me laughing and hiding at your reels. While all this is going on, I heard that from somebody. And another missionary was local to me, and she said, oh, my friend follows you and you just have her laughing. And because I tend to kind of downplay, oh yeah, because I don't want to ever come off arrogant or self-absorbed. And so kind of how I deal with that is I kind of diminish myself a little bit. So it's just a thing that I do. It's not right. Don't do it. But she kind of called me on it, and she goes, don't ever say that the silly Instagram, because it's not silly. You have missionaries' wives that are laughing their heads off, who have no one around them, and they're laughing at your reels, and you're giving them hope and you're giving them joy. It's the emails like that. It's the comments like that. It's those things that make me keep going. And so you have to focus on all the reasons why and just post it and keep going and just keep trying. And if you need someone to talk to, reach out to me. I'm here. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to somebody else that's close to you. If you don't want to reach out, you don't have to. I'm just letting you know you can if you ever need to. Reach out to somebody that might know what you're going through, but reach out if you're ever wondering. We can always look at your stuff with you and be like, oh yeah, that's, give you some encouragement, and just do it and ignore the negative comments, push aside the doubt, push aside the fear. I know that's really hard to do, but just be like, okay, 3, 2, 1, push, and then it's done. And then just don't think about it. But and just be consistent and you'll grow. And as long as you're consistent, you have good effort, and you interact with your following and you'll grow. It just might take some time. But go for it.
So let me ask you this. On your reels, about how long does it take you to do one?
Depends on the audio. Depends on how long it is, the timing on the audio. If that person has a lot of weird pauses, things like that, they can take me anywhere from 5 minutes to 45, depending on the audio itself and how much I want to add to it with facial expressions and arm movements and certain scenery or props or things like that, changing outfits. That can make it take longer. So anywhere from 5 to 45 minutes.
So letting people know, like, it's not always super fast. What about when you first got started? I'm sure it took a little longer.
Yes, absolutely. It took a little bit longer. My first Derek reel that I ever posted, the one that went super viral, that took me an hour. That took me my entire lunch break to do. And I do a lot of his stuff now. And it's gotten so much easier for me because I just have gotten used to it. And once you have done it for a while, if the like it might be a lot of audio, but if you can kind of mentally follow the next line is going to be, like if it's like a normal kind of flow of a conversation, it's easier to remember it for me. Like if they're like, yes, no, well, why did you do this? Because I went here. If it's like a normal conversation, it's easier for me to remember what the next phrase is. Another thing I've done is I write it out like a script and I put it against the wall. And my first like 7 or 8 takes is with the script. That visualization helps me remember the words faster. And then I can take it down and record it without the script. If it's a very long reel. So.
Wow. Yeah. Just letting people know, you guys, if you're starting something like this and you're wanting to do these things, it actually takes time. I love that you talked about that effort. Our bishop has often said, God blesses raw effort. So when you put that raw effort in, sometimes I'm like, God, this effort I'm doing the best I can, but it's really raw. I'm just starting and it's not the best, but God will bless it. So if Him blessing something will take you from just starting an Instagram account to a viral account, 150,000 follower account. And that's what God can do whenever He blesses something. So thank you so much for taking
You're
time to be
welcome.
on this podcast with us. You truly fit the mold for Unashamedly You. You've unashamedly showed up and been yourself, and we love you for it. So thank you for doing that. And we need more people like you. I know that you have inspired so many, not just your social media, also the speaking things you've done, and then now on the Unashamedly You community podcast. Thank you so much for being here today, and we appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Anytime I can help or talk to my own, because I consider you guys like, your own, that I really enjoy doing that. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much for being here. If you're not already, go follow Kristen at Darling on a Dime on Instagram and Facebook. You will not regret following good, clean content that's sure to make you smile. And now you know the person that is actually creating this amazing content. Also, don't forget, we're doing a giveaway every single Friday. If this podcast blessed you in any way, go share it to your social media and tag us at unashamedly.you to enter. Please go leave us a review on our podcast and subscribe so that you get the notification every Friday when our new episode releases. Thank you for your constant love and support in this space. Go be unashamedly you.